All right. So, real quick, this is an audio only episode. So, if you listen to the podcast format of this show, then it doesn't matter. But if you usually watch this on YouTube, that is why you're not seeing the video. You're just seeing you're just hearing the audio. Just because these last couple games, and that's why I've missed the last couple games, is because they've just meant absolutely zero for the Knicks. As soon as they clinched the 5 seed, I was tired that night when they defeated the Wizards and they clinched the 5 seed. That was an exciting game. I guess we could have hopped on them, but I was tired. But then the last game after that, which took place, was it the Indiana game? Again, these last couple ones have been absolutely meaningless, so I feel like there was really no point in me hopping on here and talking about basically exhibition games. But I figured it's been a couple of episodes, so we talk about the Knicks a little bit right now. They played, was it last night? Yeah, last night. As I'm recording, it's Saturday, the night of April 8th. But they played on the 7th, Friday night, the last Friday night Knicks game of the regular season, and they lost to, Jesus Christ. Who did they even lose to? This game meant nothing. I barely paid attention to it. They lost to the Pelicans. So we'll talk about that. Episode 506? Whatever it says in the title, that's what the episode is. So let's get to it. Episode 506, audio only. Again, just because we're going to run through this 15-20 minutes tops, and then that'll be that. So let's talk Knicks. BD4, episode 506. Let's get to it. Welcome to BD4, an RJ Carbone podcast. BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. BD4 is a 5-star show on Apple Podcasts, also available in video format on YouTube and Spotify. So thanks for stopping by, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Champion of the world, turning, looking, see ya! Anthony for 3, bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied! Time!
Penetrates, creates, and showing some dexterity as well with the left hand.
Yankees win!
All right. Welcome to the show. Episode 506 of the podcast. You are listening to BD4. BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. So, like I said, one last time I'll repeat it, and then that'll be that. Last couple episodes I missed. Last couple games for the Knicks, because, again, I just simply don't care about these final 2 games. So they mean nothing. They're exhibition games. The Knicks have already clinched the 5 spot. But I will probably have a recap / more of a playoff preview out. I'm hoping early this week. If not early this week, then definitely before the playoffs start on the 15th of April. So this game was, there's I almost don't want to talk about it, but the Knicks were in New Orleans for their second to last game last night. Another boring, meaningless load management exhibition game that had no implications for the Knicks. No Brunson, no Mitchell Robinson, no Julius Randle. R.J. Barrett did return, dropped 28 points. Quickley dropped 24 points. It was a competitive game throughout. First half of the game, the Knicks were a little low in energy, and I don't blame them. They kept going down, but fighting back, though, in the second half. But in the end, they lose this one, 113-105. Yeah, again, I've always hated these games. for Knicks or for the Yankees more often whenever they clinch their spot. And, just the final few series or games of the year just feel so meaningless and boring. It's a tune-up game if it's that. For the Pelicans, I guess, sure, it meant a lot, But, you could say it meant a lot to the Knicks because, you watched Josh Hart. The dude was out there fighting hard, diving on the floor, playing very physical with Brandon Ingram. He was out there flopping at the half court, getting texts. Shit, if we criticize Julius for being a bit of a sensitive hothead, then I guess we got to criticize Josh Hart because he gets a few of those, But, yeah, I think the Knicks, obviously, they care. And that's what you like. That's honestly what you got to like. The Knicks did care to win this game. You could tell by the way they played. This team likes winning. It's a group of players who want to win. They compete every night. Regardless of the situation, they compete. That is a Thibodeau team right there. They fight. It's natural for them to compete. That's just that's in their blood. That's part of their game. They play to win. They're like robots. They go out there and they're programmed to do one thing, and that's attempt to win a game. They could have easily laid back as soon as they clinched the other night. These last 4 or 5 games, whatever it's been, they could have easily just sat back and coasted and lost by double figures and didn't really care and played Trevor Keels for 42 minutes. But while they've been resting some certain players, rightly so, they've also been playing extremely hard, playing very fast, moving the ball, playing very great defense, winning without key players the last few nights. Yeah, so that's Tibbs. That's Tibbs. That's his team. So please, can we finally give the guys some goddamn credit about 82 games into the season now for getting the Knicks back on track these last couple years. Not only have the Knicks made the playoffs in 2 of the 3 Thibodeau years, it's not like they made the play-in seeds. No, they didn't just make the playoffs. They made the number 4. They were the number 4 seed in the conference 2 years ago. And now they're the number 5 team in the conference this season. So Tibbs has come in here and created a winning culture. So I want to throw it back to earlier in the season. We've had quite a few episodes where we were talking about the tanking thing. A lot of these, idiots out there advocating for the tank. A lot of you people were advocating for the tank last season, and shit, earlier this season, I want to talk about. For a chunk of time, some of you, not you listening, you're probably a good Knicks fan, but there are a lot of Knicks fans on Twitter, on the internet, wherever you find them. There were a lot of you guys advocating, rooting for losses, and actually got mad when the Knicks won. I put out a comment earlier in the season. It was after a big loss where the Knicks responded in a win. And at the time, they were either under 500 or just above 500 on the borderline there. And I put out a comment on the Knicks thread, the Knicks Twitter page. And I said, great win, needed that bounce back. And I got like 3 other replies saying, what are you talking about? They're not supposed to be winning. And I can't tell you every time I hear that how angry that makes me. It makes me so annoyed. Because first of all, it's like I made this comment back in December. Talk about the softest, most toxic, disgusting snowflake mentality to have. That's it right there. Some of you guys are just allergic to winning and obsessed with losing, and that's an issue. I've had a number of anti-tank rants earlier in the year, and here I am again, not trying to get back to that, but every single time I had one of those anti-tank rants, we'll call it, my drive home point was always that winning eventually leads to something if you keep doing it. And if you keep trying to win, I always feel like it's going to benefit you no matter what. You guys were all, what's the point of winning if they're not good enough for this, but not bad enough for that, and this and that and that? And I said it. Just don't worry about all the extra shit. Just focus on winning each day, and eventually it will reap some type of benefit. So here we are. Here we are, about to finish the season tomorrow afternoon, and the Knicks are, going full force here, trying to win this year. They have gotten that benefit, and that benefit is a spot in the Eastern Conference playoffs as the number 5 seed. So you're welcome, losers, and I hope you learned your lesson as to why winning is always important. Go be a Mavs fan. Shit, look at the whole thing going on right now with Cuban and the Mavericks with all this tank drama. God, was that a joke? Oh my gosh, it's so oblivious, and they need to get penalized. So, yeah, let's just get that out of the way. But again, this is going to be a very short episode. I mean, we're probably almost halfway done here because I'm not going to go too deep into this. But last night, if you care about the game, the Knicks lost. The defense was a bit poor. The weak side defense wasn't great. A lot of focus on the ball, but a lot of guys were open weak side. Herb Jones was killing them on the weak side a little bit. He went 7 of 7 last night from the field. It's always a random bum. Shit, Trey Murphy. The guy averages, 13, 14 points. He dropped 31 last night. RJ Barrett was getting downhill last night. He looked good. Very promising signs as a slasher. He went 11 of 15 inside the paint last night. 3 of 4 inside the restricted area. On the year, he's just under 60% in the restricted area, which is not a great number. Certainly not great, but it's a career high for RJ Barrett. It shows improvement this year that he had finishing. He's elite at getting to the basket. He's elite at getting to the line. He's a good slasher. And the finishing has improved. Looked more patient with his drives last night. Very aggressive at times, but also displayed some nice passing too. And didn't force it. So he looked good as a slasher, and he continues to show some promise there. But man, his three-point shooting is very, 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 very streaky and inconsistent. I'm not going to say it's terrible because he's currently at 31%. That's just bad. It's a few ticks away from being average. It's bad. It's a very inconsistent number. But that's the thing. You don't know what you're getting from him from there. It could be a week of hot shooting and then a week of cold shooting, or it could be a day of hot shooting and then the next game he's cold. He's just inconsistent. So if he's not hitting by next week, game 1, that's going to be a problem come playoff time. And I'm hoping he finally finds his stride, because in his last 15 games, he's been a pathetic and unacceptable 22%. That's terrible right there. So maybe that means he's due, if you believe in that thing. But what I don't like is that hot or cold, a lot of the time RJ Barrett just keeps chucking them. I don't want to make it seem like he was taking contested shots last night. But regardless, it's too much volume for a guy who can't knock down the three-point ball consistently. He was 0 for 9 last night on threes. So I don't really care that he was open, Wally. He when he's off, he doesn't make the open ones. When he's off, he does not make the open nor contested threes. He should be a guy, RJ Barrett, who takes no more than 3 3-pointers a night. Take notes from a guy like DeMar DeRozan, from a guy like Jimmy Butler. Those have been some of RJ's comps earlier in his career. Take notes from younger Andrew Wiggins. So, nonetheless, good night, bad night last night, whatever you saw his night as, the three-point shooting is an issue. Defenses are going to sag off him. They're going to pack the paint. They're going to use that extra guy as a help defender. So that also probably means Quickley and Josh Hart, especially, will see more minutes. And Tibbs, he's not going to hesitate to go to either of them in the playoff game if RJ's not on. And honestly, you got to use Quickley as a starter in the playoffs anyway. I'm not saying you start him, but you got to use him that way. You got to give him minutes with the first unit and give him his 28, 29, 30 plus minutes. And you got to give RJ more minutes with that second unit because he's been better with the Knicks playing with the bench anyway. When Quickley's out there closing in the fourth quarter, he's with the starters. Quickley's out there. When RJ's rolling, running in transition, it's with the bench. That's where he thrives. So staggering's going to be important because it also helps defensively. You're getting RJ Barrett off the floor with Brunson and Randall at the same time because we know that doesn't work. I never liked that trio. Defensively, it can be a nightmare. And if RJ isn't hitting his threes by Saturday, it will put all of that pressure onto Grimes to keep doing what he's been doing. And Grimes has been electric. It's going to put a lot of pressure on him, though. And even if Tibbs can just pull RJ Barrett, which he can, it doesn't mean that RJ still can't hurt you. Because you have to think at worst, RJ is still going to play 20 minutes in a playoff game. So he's got to figure something out. The Knicks, they have more depth this time around than 2 years ago, but you're going to need everything you can take against a team like the Cavs. I also think the Cavs are a lot deeper than the Hawks were 2 years ago. People keep forgetting that. People say, well, Randall has Brunson now. Yes, that's true. But the Knicks aren't just playing Trae Young and solid role players. They're playing two stars in the backcourt and a very long team who've got the Twin Towers up front. That's a much deeper team to me. But Grimes was great last night. He continues to stay hot. 14 more points, 4 more triples. He's in double figures every night now, knocking down the threes. 8 games in a row with at least 10. He's also taking 10 threes a night during that 8-game span, and he's knocking them down at a 48% clip. It's almost scary to see him this hot because much like RJ with his cold streak, you're worried that he's eventually going to cool off. Grimes. You're going to have the week off. I hate that. I think if you're going to give game balls, Josh Hart off the bench gets a game ball for me, and Immanuel Quickley among the starting lineup gets the game ball for me. That's that. But Quickley, the Knicks were down 11 points late in the third quarter. And I just thought this part of the game was a perfect portrayal of who Immanuel Quickley has become for the Knicks this year. The Knicks were down 11 late in the third quarter. Quickley gets red hot from 3. Like 3 in a row. Then he starts facilitating a little bit. He hits up Grimes. And by the end of the period, the Knicks were either tied or maybe even up a few points. Forget. But that's him. That's Quickley. That's who he is. Positive impact all the time. Good things happen when he's out there. Shooting, playmaking and distributing, defense. He is there. He has it. That's why he leads the NBA in bench plus minus. That's why he probably should be 6th man of the year. Though I'm not going crazy over that. I'm focused. Okay? I'm just looking at one thing. Get me to the postseason and win me some games. Win me around. But Quickley was wonderful last night. Josh Hart was great. He was hustling all over the place. Had a little thing going with Brandon Ingram. Love the way he goes for rebounds. We've talked about that a bunch. Breen was gushing over that. Playing the fast break. Doing everything it takes to get the advantage, like flopping in the half court there at the half court line. But he was great last night. Got to the free throw line and converted 6 of 7 from there. Help defense was great. Obi Toppin, you didn't get much from him last night. And I think people really need to start realizing some things with Obi. We've seen him now. This is 2 years in a row. At the end of the season, with Randall out, last year's with COVID, this year's with the ankle injury, Obi Toppin's been dropping some really cool numbers. But we have to realize Obi Toppin plays a lot of the time. These games where he goes off is against teams who are already out of it, teams playing their reserves, weaker units. Last night, you played a team like the Pelicans who are still playing for something. And they're also hurt a little bit. And he wasn't as effective. He dropped, I think it was 10 points last night. It wasn't as great. It's not going to be the same when you play deeper talent. So Obi, I don't want to say empty stats, but I kind of do at the same time. Like it's not, there's definitely something to playing quicker and moving the ball faster without Randall. There's definitely something to that. I believe in that thing. A lot of people talk about it. There definitely is. And I would like a longer look at it. But Randall plays in a lot of games and he's barely hurt. But I do agree there's definitely something to have an Obi out there. And he's the guy who makes quick decisions. We've talked about this. Shoot, pass, cut every time he has it. So I believe in that. But at the same time, I don't want to make it seem like Randall is worse than Obi. Like, Randall's had a good year. I don't love him here. You know that. But he did play a decent part in getting you to 50 or 48 wins, whatever they're at. 47 wins, 48 wins. So if Randall's healthy, and I don't think he'll be healthy by the time the playoffs start, but I think he's going to play regardless, he's going to play. You got to play him. My problem with Randall is the over-reliance on him. Sometimes he makes too much of an impact on the game. That can be a good thing, but that can also be a bad thing. Holding the ball too much, trying to do too much. And then if he's not on offensively, if he's frustrated, he doesn't have that same focus on the defensive side of the ball. So yeah, me personally, I would love for the Knicks to move on from Randall and have another guy, superstar guy, come in here. But that's something for another day, because Randall is here, and come next weekend, he's going to be playing basketball for the Knicks. So I don't think it's really worth spending so much time talking about how the Knicks offense looks against Randall, because again, you're playing down the stretch of the season where these games aren't that. They're much different than games in the thick of the season, and Randall's just here. He's part of the team regardless. So don't want to spend a lot of time on that. Another big man I want to talk about real briefly is Isaiah Hartenstein. And I think he's going to play a key piece in the playoffs, man, because this guy impresses me more and more every night. And I cannot believe how much of a jump he's taken from when he was really bad earlier in the year. But he stepped up defensively. Better in drop coverage of lately. Doesn't always drop. Hedges more. Taking the ball more. Putting two on the ball if he needs to. Trap. Out of the pick and roll blitz. He's done that well. But the thing that's impressing me every night now, the way he's been passing the ball in the half court. We know about the outlet passes in full court. But you had to think eventually Tibbs was going to tap into that potential, because he had Joakim Noah for all those years, and he turned him into a good passer. And you're starting to see it now over these last few weeks. Isaiah Hartenstein's passing has taken a next step. It's on another level right now. He's finding guys backdoor every single night now. A couple times a night. Last 13 games, he's averaging 3 assists. The last 6 games, he's averaging 4 assists. But it's not just the assist numbers. You're watching him. The eye test shows you he's been moving the ball. Doesn't have to be the home run pass. He's been great. And I think his two-way play is going to play a big impact in the playoffs. And I would not hate if he was in some of those closing lineups against the Cavs. So that's it. That's all I have. We'll wrap this up with our question of the day as soon as we return from break. Stay with us. Be right back. BD4 is located on many different platforms. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, and if you do there, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and review. You can listen to it on Spotify, but you can also watch the podcast on both Spotify and YouTube. BD4 is available on many other platforms as well. All you got to do is search it up. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and much more. We also have a website now for BD4. If you go to BD4blog.com, you can find the blog, the podcast links, and also where to find me on social media. Just go to BD4blog.com. Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born. All right, welcome back to the show. Let's wrap this up. I don't think I have anything else to add. Just wanted to touch on a few things. Again, we'll have some more in-depth actual thoughts thought out, and we'll have a real episode. I'm hoping soon, before the playoffs. We'll definitely do one at the end of... we'll do like a playoff preview / Yeah, I don't fucking know. We'll see. I'm getting busy with work this week, but I'll definitely have something out before then. All right, and we'll definitely have a playoff preview, and we'll also be recapping the final game of the season, and we'll do our progress reports. That's what I wanted to add in there. I forgot to add that in. We'll do our progress reports for the season. So let's get to our trivia question to wrap this one up. All right. So for this episode, our NYY-NYK-MMA trivia question of the day. True or false? In last night's game, the Knicks scored their lowest points total against New Orleans since they became the Pelicans. I feel like I've asked that before in the last game we played against New Orleans. But true or false, in last night's game, the Knicks scored their lowest points total against New Orleans since they became the Pelicans. So let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. If you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout out in the next episode. Told you guys this would be 15-20 minutes tops. We ended up going a half fucking hour. I'll see you guys in the next show. Thanks for coming. Later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.